Hi everybody. My name is Thanh, and I'm very happy to be here with my partner, Miss Lê Thanh Hà, to present our paper today, which entitled Students' Engagement in Second Language Learning, Emergency Remote Teaching Amid COVID-19. So we are all coming from Foreign Trade University in Ho Chi Minh City in Vietnam. And firstly, let me give you kind of a general understanding of what we are going to talk about today. So there are 6 main parts will be covered, starting from introduction and then ending with conclusion and implication. So now start with the first part. I will tell you a brief introduction. And as we all know that now we are in very sensitive situation with the COVID-19, which caused the chaotic situation for every countries in the world. And of course, in that situation, all the courses are digitized and then all the learning contents are up on air so that the learners can be approachable to get to learn the learning without interruption. And of course, in this situation, both learners and instructors, they are very serious concerning about the learning outcome because of these changes. However, talking about the learning outcomes, we have many factors to consider about. Now, according to the Banner et al. 2015, we refer to the one factor called engagement. According to them, engagement plays an important role in stimulating online learning today as compared to the central focus of content in the past. That's why my partner and I, we decided to have a deeper investigation on student learning engagement in this situation of COVID-19. And to continue with the paper, we tried to figure out the answers for 2 research questions. So what are they? So let's take a look. So we have 2 research questions typed. Question number 1, how do students perceive learning engagement in EFL lessons during the emergency remote teaching? It's a short form of ERT. And the question number 2, what boosts or hinders students' engagement in EFL lessons during the ERT? So these are 2 questions that we'll try to find out the answers for. Before going to the next part with the methodology and how we get the answer for these questions, I would like to bring you with the general understanding of literature review of some theory that provides the backbone for our paper. Firstly, we need to understanding online learning. Of course, according to the Archambault et al. 2010, they differentiate that online learning provides individualized and differentiated instructions for the learners. And according to Lawson, also in 2010, online curriculum is kind of regular and comprehensive that take long months to complete. It means that like instructors, they need a lot of time to prepare the learning content before they push up online on air to the learners to study. And this year, we came up with another term that called emergency remote teaching. So what it is, in general, we understand some people still misunderstood that emergency also the online learning. Yeah, I do agree that emergency remote teaching is kind of online learning. However, there's some difference here. Firstly, according to Golden 2020, emergency remote teaching is a temporary solution to an immediate problem. So the instructors somehow they do not have much time to prepare for their lesson plans, lesson activities. Yeah, and the second one, according to Haji et al. 2020, emergency remote teaching provides instructional support that is reliable but easy to create in the time of the crisis, for example, for this time. And now we consider with another factor. The main factor here is about students' engagement. So firstly, we understand that student engagement is one of the primary components of student satisfaction in online learning. Everybody seems to agree with this one. And according to Robinson and Linger, 2008, student engagement offers valuable indicators of educational quality. And the last one is also the key to retain students in online education and is one of the predictors of student developmental learning. And now, when we talk about the students' engagement, how we will measure it, how we can evaluate it. According to the Chickering and Gamson 1987, they mentioned the 7 principles for good practice in undergraduate education. They are: number 1, encouraging contact between students and faculty, developing reciprocity and cooperation among the students, using active learning techniques, giving prompt feedback, emphasizing time on task, communicating high expectations, respecting diverse talents and ways of learning. However, when we take a look at this one, we cannot know specifically how we will develop our kind of research framework. That's why we follow the kind of classification of 3 types of interaction to assess student engagement that is given by Moore, like this one. We call them learner content, learner instructors. And in this diagram, we can see that firstly, we understand learner. So learner interaction is the kind of interaction between the one learner and other learners, and in groups or communities with or without the presence of instructors. The second one, learner content. Learner content is the process of intellectually interacting with the subject matter that results in construct, meaning, and change of the learner's understanding and cognitive structure. And the last one, learner-instructor. So learner-instructor refers to the instructor's efforts in curriculum planning, designing, organizing content, and activities that support and encourage that stimulate learners' interactions and enhance their learning motivation during the course. So in our paper, we mostly based on this classification of Moore 1989 of 3 types of interaction: learner instructor, learner content, to build the survey, questionnaire, and also the open-ended interview questions. So in the next part, my partner, Ms. Ha Lê, will talk more about the methodology for this research paper.
Moving on to the methodology. So when all schools and universities were forced to lock down because of COVID-19, emergency remote teaching happened, and we had about 1 month and a half working online. And during our online delivery, my co-author and I, we work on the framework of our research, and we also designed our questionnaires, which was an adaptation of Young and Bruce's self-reporting survey. We also included some open-ended questions at the end. Once the school will resume and offline traditional class happen again, we deliver our questionnaires, and we collected 252 reports from our tertiary students. The analysis of the data happened shortly after, and this is what we found out. For the first factor of student content engagement, the quantitative result revealed that student complete all the assigned classwork, and they also think that the courses were well organized. However, it is important to note that the agentic engagement, which was shown in the item number 15 and 16, was relatively low compared to the other item. The qualitative result reveals some more insight to the problem. So on the one hand, students report a lot of leverage from technological side, which includes easy access to material, flexibility of learning mode, and that they could record and rewatch the video whenever they want. On the other hand, a lot of problems were brought up. So the most complained problem was about the internet connection, and also we got some problem related to distractions from the other resources, and that they have to open many tabs and switch between too many sites. Moving on to the second factor of student-instructor engagement, the students were actually happy and satisfied about the presence of the instructor during the class discussion. They also think that the instructor were responsiveness. Qualitative result reveals some more information. On the one hand, some students reported that they actually raised their voice more often and raised their hands more comfortably. Some other students reported the lack of connection and motivation, so they didn't have much chance to talk to the teacher, or some students said that they could not listen to the teacher clearly. For the last factor of student and student engagement, this is actually the one with the lowest mean in total. Even though the student reported that they participate actively during the online discussion, and they were committed, they were willing to work with their classmates, the qualitative result brought us a lot of surprise. So firstly, there were actually no positive comment on this factor, and we received really a lot of complaints about the lack of interaction and communication during student group work. Students reported that they had no chance to practice speaking, and the interaction with peers were actually very low. This was due to the fact that our university had no learning management system of our own, and that we had no breakout rooms for teammates to work together. Also, it is because a lot of students had no working webcam or mic, and that made the online discussion not very effective. And if we compare it to the traditional language classroom, when students have physical contact with the classmate and other teammate, then online discussion was really insufficient and ineffective for our student.
After the fighting parts, that we come up with some discussion here. So firstly, according to findings, students show their preference of studying online in this situation because of easy access and flexibility. Which can be understood that there can be easy access to learning material, and they can be flexible in manage the time of studying or approaching their learning materials as well. Some students claim that they do not need worry much about how to move from their house to the school, and they can save a lot of time and they can do other things for that time saved. And this result is in accordance with the finding by about Junior 2020. The second one, we talk about the reason why that students have a negative attitude toward ERT learning because of some technological hindrance. And of course, for example, some students claim about the Wi-Fi connection, about the computer, about the functions of the laptop, for example. Of course, These 5 hindrances affect on the students' engagement in learning, and this result we can see the similarity in the ones finding by Andrews and Klee 2002, Sol et al. 2008. And one more thing that we could draw out from the findings here is really interesting about the low personal effort because of social emotional disturb and interrupt. Of course, we understand that now, apart from the need for learning, most of people, not only the students, but everybody is worried about their safety because of the COVID-19, and we know it's very, very dangerous. So to some extent, the learners, they cannot 100% concentrate on their learnings. So that's why we came up with the conclusion that the factor of social emotional can affect on their learner learning engagement. Yeah. And another thing that we need to come up with a discussion here is about the student and student instructor interaction, kind of low according to the situation, according to the finding. It's really worth not taking because according to the Vygotsky 1978, a kind of interaction is a key to successful language learning or for the social cultural composition in second language learning, or it is an integral component of successful online courses according to Danner et al. 2007 and Pitler 2006. So that's why the two findings that are very important that we need to discuss more to have a better adaptation for our training course. So in short, we do agree that learning should not be highly regarded as a matter of race and content-based, but pedagogy of compassion and care must be present all the time. And this one we came up with a conclusion cited by Bell Junior 2020.
So coming to the end, to conclude, our quantitative results indicated strong engagement between students and instructors, while student engagement was rather limited. Also, our interviews and qualitative data have revealed a mixed scenario. While we found out some problems encountered by our students, which includes technological problems, poor administration, and also we got some problem related to digital pedagogy. Participants generally held a positive attitude toward online language learning during this time of emergency remote teaching. So we who are lecturers and language teachers, we are also a part of this process, and we would like to make some recommendation as well. So we strongly believe that digitalization is going to be an indispensable part in the future, and all educational parties, institutions, teachers, and students, we should get prepared for the upcoming future of a really unexpected pandemic that is going to come. Also, for this time of really sensitive consequences of the pandemic, educational institutions and also the teachers, we should pay attention to and we should respond to the call for providing psychological and emotional presence and support for our students. So this is going to be the end of our presentation. Thank you very much for your attention, and we would like to welcome all questions.